guys, so it's time to be honest and truthful with you. I hate editing, and I won't pretend otherwise. I love writing, world building, character creation, all of that. But most days, I'd rather do anything but edit. Unfortunately for me, and anyone else like me who hates to edit, it's not possible to write a good book without a long, gruesome editing process. Either way, if you want to write a good book, you're gonna have to edit the shit out of it. And maybe you're like me when I first finished the first draft of my current manuscript, and you have no idea where to start. Don't worry, I'm gonna tell you my editing process, and you're probably gonna hate every single thing I do and ignore all of my advice. That's fine. Let's get into the horrors of my editing process. So first things first, like pretty much everybody else in the WriterTube community on YouTube, I watched Jennifer Rossy, and I watched her How I Self-Edit video, and she said in that video that she edits as she writes. I don't do that. I think that she's actually a masochist and she's crazy. I don't understand how she edits while she writes. It's my personal preference to finish my first draft and then start editing. When I first started trying to write my current work in progress back in high school,
hello darkness, my old friend,
I rewrote the first 3 chapters of that book so many times that I can't even read the first chapters of my book now without feeling like itchy, because I was so ingrained in that part of the plot that I am sick of reading it, and I will never be able to think my first chapters are good or interesting because that part of the plot has been just attacking me ever since I started trying to write my book. So I could never finish my first draft. So if that sounds like you need to stop editing while you go, because it doesn't work for everybody, and that is okay. My second step is a controversial opinion, and I don't care, it works for me and it might work for you, so consider it. And that is, before I start editing my novel myself, I have another set of eyes look at it and read it. I've had my story with me for so long. Like truly, the first conception of it came to me in middle school, and yes, obviously the plot and the characters and all of that have changed a lot. Like I'm older now, it's been 10 years since I first thought of, oh my god, it's been 10 years. Oh my god. It's been 10 years since I first thought of the idea behind my story. Obviously, I'm a little bit close to it, and so when I first finished my draft, I needed somebody else to look at it. And that is for 3 reasons. 1, letting somebody else read my manuscript forces me to confront my ever real fear of people reading my work, because I am never going to get over my fear of thinking that it's not good enough, and most of you never will either. So you need to suck it up and let somebody read it. 2, since somebody else is reading it and I am waiting for their feedback, it forces me to step away and take a break from my draft. This is something I recommend for everybody, even people who aren't going to have somebody else read it. You need to take time away from your draft after you first read it. You absolutely cannot finish it one day and the next day just start at chapter 1, start editing. It's just, you're not going to be able to see as many of your own mistakes or be as critical of your own work that way. But 3, and probably one of the most important, is that I will get some basic feedback on characters and plot structure. To be honest, I am not an intense plotter when it comes to writing. I'm more of a plantser. I don't go by the seat of my pants either, but I don't plot it all out beforehand. I have like a skeleton, sort of. So having somebody look at it helps me adjust and understand if my characters are working or not, and if the plot works or not, and that includes pacing. I'm not good at pacing the first time in a first draft. So as long as I trust the person who I get to read my novel the first time, I know that their advice can help me take some big steps in the first step of my editing process. So after I've had somebody read it, I will go and do my own initial read through. Hopefully I've waited at least a month, and hopefully you will too. Even if the person reads it much faster than that, like give yourself a month away from it and then go back and read it through. My first read through is when I do big plot and character changes, and I try to avoid working on grammar and style. I'm not perfect, so sometimes I will edit grammar and style when I'm doing this initial read through because I can't help myself. But usually I'm looking for plot holes, wonky characterization, and world building errors. I'm trying to fix all of those things now before I get into the nitty-gritty and then have to change it later, and then the nitty-gritty didn't matter because I took out large chunks of paragraphs that didn't make sense or don't fit anymore after I edited the crap out of the writing and grammar of that paragraph. Don't make more work for yourself than you have to. So after I've made what I think are all my substantial plot and character changes, I will go back and read it again for writing, style, and grammar. For me, this step takes me forever because I'm really hard on myself and my writing style. I don't honestly think I'm a very strong writer. It's only very recently that I've started to realize that I am one because of feedback from other people. But it took me a very, very long time to accept the fact that I'm not going to write like my favorite author, and that's okay. I'm gonna write like me instead. And my writing style will reflect me, my past, my history, and how I've grown as a writer. That being said, we all constantly grow and evolve as a writer, and so since I get better at writing every day, I can't stop myself from wanting to go back and fix things from earlier drafts now that I'm better at writing. If you can avoid falling into this pit hole, I'd suggest it, but I know it can be difficult because, same. Since I spent a lot of time on step 4, the writing style and grammar one, this next one is normally pretty quick for me. I just look for small errors like typos and then move on. Number 6, and this is something I could probably make a whole video on, and that is beta readers and the beta reading process. For now, I'm going to try and keep it as simple and concise as possible, but if you want a whole video on it, let me know in the comments below. I like to recruit multiple rounds of beta readers. That is my recommendation to all new writers as well, is to get a round of betas, maybe 10 to 15 people, have them read through the whole thing, and then edit it. And then once you finish editing your whole manuscript, get more betas and do this again and again. I'm currently still in this beta reading process, step. I have not moved on yet, so I can't tell you exactly how many rounds of beta readers I have had, but I do believe I'm actually in my last round now. But a good rule of thumb is that if betas are no longer picking apart your characters, your plot, your world building, your pacing, and instead are focusing on writing style and grammar, it's probably a pretty good idea to cut the betas loose and move on. Number 7 is what I would call the last step in your self-editing or editing process, and that is hiring a professional editor. There are a couple different types of editors, and I'm currently doing my research for them now. If you're interested in a video on different types of editors, you can leave a comment down below. But I do intend to send my novel to a professional editor after I finish beta reading. For those of you out there watching this that intend to self-publish, this is not an optional step. It is mandatory. Your novel will never seem as polished and professional as it possibly can unless you get it professionally edited. If you want your people to take your book seriously and to be able to make a career out of your writing by self-publishing, you need to understand that an editor is an absolutely vital investment in your future. Now, full disclosure, I do not intend to have my book self-published. I do intend to try and get it traditionally published. However, I still plan on hiring a professional editor. If you're like me and you are interested in having your book traditionally published as opposed to self-publishing, it's not necessary or mandatory to hire a professional editor. I know it's expensive, so a lot of you will not want to or be able to hire a professional editor. But for me, I want my manuscript to be the absolute best I can possibly make it before I send it to agents. And in my mind, once it gets edited again by an editor hired by the traditional publisher, it'll be all that much better when it reaches readers, because it'll have gone through rounds of beta readers and 2 professional editors and an agent. But again, hiring one myself is my personal choice. Okay guys, so that is all I've got for you today. If you like this video, like the video, and subscribe down below if you want to see more. Leave a comment below about what videos you want to see next, and otherwise I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!